Hey guys, I'm finally back with a new Webeo. This is perhaps the most complicated project I've had to do so far. It is finally bridging the gap through the Appalachian Mountains, connecting Harrisburg with Pittsburgh. This was not easy to do. The route had to be changed many times in order to achieve the maximum speed for a minimum cost. There are a couple tunnels in the route. I believe 9 or 10, something like that. I think there are 10 tunnels in the total route, the longest of which is 6 miles. That may seem like a lot, but that's the only option I had. The line will start in Harrisburg, go actually up to Lewistown and State College, down to Altoona and Somerset, and then Greensburg, and then Pittsburgh. The reason I made it go up like this, in addition to serving more populated areas, is so I would avoid the treacherous mountains that the Pennsylvania Turnpike traverses through. I would have to have like multiple more tunnels than doing this route, not to mention serving less areas. This route is 40 miles longer, but it will be a lot cheaper as well, not to mention serving these other areas. Now, just a forewarning, this is an expensive project and I don't foresee this to be completed anytime in the foreseeable future. The reason is simple. This is an expensive, big project. It really stretches the needs of high-speed rail. We are going across 150 miles of straight mountain, and high-speed rail does not like mountains at all. However, I do think such a line is worth it. Now, before we get into the line, we'll take some background into this. So I actually decided to start this in Philadelphia instead of going up like this for a good reason. More of the northeast megalopolis, which has a population of 140 million, would be served by this line instead of making a direct line from here, in which like Philadelphia would not be served by it, neither would DC and Baltimore. I will propose a future connection from Baltimore to Harrisburg, so that will connect to the main line going west and connect all of the Middle Atlantic and New England to the Midwest, which, by the way, also has a big population of about 50 million. The final section between Cleveland and Pittsburgh will be done in the next Webeo. This line will have a top speed of 300 km per hour in a few sections, though not all sections obviously, and I would not be surprised if it takes 30 to 40 years before something like this becomes a reality. But connecting the East Coast with the Midwest has been a dream for a long time, and by high-speed rail travel it will just connect the Midwest with the Northeast much more effectively. Another thing is, like I said, I could funnel all the northeastern cities into this line here, and they can funnel out, one going to Cleveland, possibly one going to Columbus and Kentucky, Tennessee, even Texas eventually. There will only be a couple lines crossing the Appalachian Mountains, and this for now will be the most northern. I doubt I'll make another one further north, so for practical purposes, this is how the line will go. Did you get that? Okay, that's the general background of what I'm going to do. Next, I'm going to actually show you how this line will go, the specific details. So like I said, this is my most challenging Webeo I've had to produce. There's a reason why it took 3 weeks for me to do this. I had to constantly change routes. I originally started going west to Carlisle and even Shippensburg and Chambersburg, but the mountains by there were too bad. So I decided a more northerly route going through State College, and that's what is a final proposal. So the line will exit Harrisburg Station at 250 kilometers per hour. Obviously, there'll be some curve straightening at some of these curves here. Also, some of these bridges on Route 22 and 322 will have to rebuild. Now, the existing Amtrak line will go to the west, and that's extremely windy. I didn't even want to try to curve straighten this. It would be much more efficient to continue the line. It would basically follow the existing line until a new tunnel here. Curve straightening this is not possible as there's a mountain, so there's a 1.2 mile long tunnel, which is the first one. After that, the line will join the existing one along its existing path and deviate again just west of Hadji Lane on 22 and 322, following a brand new alignment. Now, before we get into this new alignment deal too much, I'd like to tell you the background. I do not want to destroy a lot of homes with this, like always, but there are certain times when it may just traverse through a farmland. However, it's important to note that 140 million people of the Northeast and 50 million people of the Midwest are benefiting, and maybe 1,000 people at tops are seriously getting harmed. So it is a tough debate, but I do think that demolishing this area here will be worth it. So after that, it will go through the next mountain and cross the Susquehanna River just west of the existing Route 22 bridge. It will join the existing Amtrak line at a speed of now 300 kilometers per hour because the line's completely straight here as well. It will go over a bridge into another tunnel, and then it will go curve with this land here. And some of this may have to be placed on viaducts somehow, like the German ice system is. This is not entirely flat land, but it's flat enough to avoid building tunnels. It'll go through another tunnel, come out for a little again, into another tunnel, exit, and continue along its way. This is all at 300 km/h speeds, so we can expect fast travel. This is all new alignment. Now this area is very flat. I don't foresee having to build even any viaducts to bypass some of the hills in this area, as there are none. Cross the river here and rejoin the main Amtrak line, continuing west, now again at 250 km/h. After deviating from the existing line, it will increase to 300 again before decreasing to 200. Now, before I get into why I went this way, I'm going to give you some background on the behind the scenes of this Webeo. How about that? I was actually planning the line to go west into some of these valleys and traverse this mountain. However, the existing line is straight enough through the mountain, and even allowing 200 km/h speeds would be worth it considering how much money would be saved when tunneling 8 miles under this mountain. Now 8-mile tunnels are possible. In Switzerland, they actually have the 35-mile long tunnel that's recently been opened, connecting Germany to Italy. However, there's an existing line here that's reasonably straight. This is not the Alps. So this will be followed at 200 km/h with curve straightening. Just before entering Lewistown, it will go under another mountain and it will exit up here. It will pass over the existing line and enter Lewistown station. Now I messed that up. That should really be here, obviously. But Lewistown's a pretty big area, and it'll also serve other nearby areas. There are a lot of towns in this general vicinity here, so I thought that serving Lewistown would be a good idea. Not to mention, people as far as Williamsport may find driving to Lewistown or the next station, State College, would be a viable idea. Cross the river for the last time, and now this is all at 200 km/h. Once it enters this tunnel, it can speed up to 300. That was a short tunnel, only 0.5 miles long. This tunnel is pretty big though. It's around 2 miles long. But there is no other option. The line abruptly stops there. There are no tracks, surprisingly enough, going directly from Lewistown to State College. So I had to build this new tunnel. This is all at 300 km/h speeds. To go over Route 22 again, it had to go around Milroy. I actually wanted to go it closer here, but there's an elementary school and park in the way, so I had to deviate the line further west because I thought that little further deviation away would help the local community. This area is also a little hilly, so some periodic viaducts may be required, especially right before entering this tunnel here, which by the way is 5 miles long. This is one reason why this project will not be completed soon. Tunneling 5 miles is not easy. However, after that, you're already in Center County, believe it or not. That was quick, right? I could bet you recording this Webeo to you will not be much longer than actually taking the line between Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, or vice versa. So it'll exit into Center County and the State College area. Continue straight. Now this will require quite a bit of viaducts. I don't exactly remember where, but there are certain parts of the line that will have to be elevated to minimize any major elevation changes along the alignment. Speaking of elevation changes, there's a slight hill here, but more importantly, there's development. And sorry, I had no substitute. Now, before I go into why I'm going north instead of just right here, it's because just further north, there is an existing line connecting Altoona with Lock Haven. And I decided, why not join the existing line? It's really straight parallels to Interstate 99. Plus, it would be closer to Penn State University. So I had to tunnel under the eastern parts of State College to get to the State College station, which, believe it or not, is within walking distance to Penn State University, one of the best universities in the world. So is University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University, which are later on this line. Can you believe it? A train line directly connecting UPitt and Penn State. That would be interesting for fans of both universities. Let's hope some fights don't happen on the line. Anyways, this station is close to State College, obviously a big area, Penn State, so you'll imagine many students who don't have cars will be coming to this station and going to their homes. Also, many football fans can go right to Beaver Stadium right here. It's a really easy walk from State College Stadium to Beaver Stadium. In fact, going from Philadelphia to State College will only take 1.5 hours. That's not a lot of time. That's easily doable compared to the 4-hour drive that is required currently, or maybe a 5-hour train plus 1-hour drive from Lewistown if you want to do that by bus. So I think State College will be a very useful station in the area, greatly benefiting the entire area. State College deserves a station and it just doesn't have it, which is sad, but it's getting one through this line. It should also be thanked for the more treacherous mountains further south that are enabling this line to go this far north. After State College, the line will curve, go under Mount Nittany here, and come to the existing Altoona to Lock Haven line. Now, the Altoona to Lock Haven line is an existing line connecting Williamsport with southwestern PA. It's very straight, and honestly, had Philadelphia and the southern part of the Northeast not existed, I would have probably routed the line up like this, like along Route 80 up to Williamsport, Lock Haven. However, I wanted to serve all the Northeast, so I thought a more southerly start at Philadelphia and Harrisburg would be better. By the way, the speed of this line is still 300 kilometers per hour. With curve straightening, it can be done. So it will parallel Interstate 99 on the existing track before slowing down to 200 kilometers per hour to quickly pass through Tyrone. There's a small station here because obviously you don't even want any high-speed train to go through a curve like that. It would derail, crash into the water, and as the game Midtown Madness says, you'll be sleeping with the fishes. Not fish, fishes. We don't want trains to be sleeping with the fishes. So we're going to create a tunnel and join the existing Amtrak line again. The Amtrak line goes through unknown places, and it's not a convenient route at all. Going a northerly route to State College would be much more economically valuable and feasible. Line will go back to now 250 kilometers per hour as the existing line has a slightly higher grade, but more importantly, it's curved a little more. And it will continue that way until Altoona. Altoona is a pretty big city. I believe it's the 8th biggest in Pennsylvania. So obviously we want to station there. Now, we're going to continue in a couple moments, but I'm going to give you a background on another part of the behind the scenes. I wanted this line to originally go to Johnstown like the existing Amtrak line does. However, Johnstown is located in a deep river valley, and trying to get any type of high-speed rail there without multitude of tunnels, costs and pains, it would be a very big challenge to say the least. Instead, I routed the line further south to Somerset and Greensburg, only with 2 tunnels, rather than tunneling through this 10-mile long behemoth of a mountain here. The Allegheny Mountains very wide here. It's narrow here, that's why I chose to tunnel there. Plus, having to slow down, curve down into Johnstown. It may be a sacrifice, but for the vast majority of people, it's not that big of a deal. Not to mention, Johnstown is only a 20-minute drive from Somerset, so it's not too bad of an alternative. So the line will continue again at 250 kilometers per hour. Now here there will be quite a bit of viaducts as the valley has several ridges that connect to the mountains, and the line doesn't really follow them well. This is still existing track until Sproul. After that, this is brand new line. Brand new line. This will now be at 300 kilometers per hour since it's new. Some viaducts, especially just south of Imler, will be a big one, if I remember correctly from when I was planning this. Fishertown, there will be another viaduct because it's a valley here. And now the line will finally start curving to the west before entering the Allegheny Mountain Tunnel, which will be 6 miles long. That's long. But the other tunnel before State College was also pretty long, and there are no other alternatives. So I had to do that. It's better than going through Johnstown or going further south. It was a perfect location. The line will continue at full speed, which is 300 kilometers per hour. A stop at Somerset will serve the Somerset County area, even Bedford County, which is the county just to the east where the line had to curve south to. Plus, even northern Maryland, like Cumberland, is only a 20 to 30 minute drive from this station. So these stations are more regional stations than local stations. At full speed, the line continues through the next mountain. This is also a 6 mile long tunnel. This mountain's not tall, it's just very wicked to say the least. and creating a tunnel here would avoid all that mess at full speed. The line will have to slow down to 200 kilometers per hour though as it approaches the existing line. I could tunnel under this, but then I realized the grades through here are not that bad. So after a lot of time, to say the least, fiddling with the elevations in this area, I found this to be the optimal route because this actually lowers elevation by quite a bit. I believe 50 meters it will be lowered. So it gets lowered near Lawson Heights and it joins the existing Amtrak main line and stops at Greensburg. Greensburg is at the center of Westmoreland County. It's on the eastern periphery of the Pittsburgh urban area. So a lot of people from eastern Pittsburgh can use this to easily go either east or west along this corridor. They won't have to drive all the way to Pittsburgh or Somerset, which both are still quite a drive. The line will have to slow down to 200 kilometers per hour now as it's all on the existing line. There's a lot of development here, and more importantly, the hills are wicked here. I like saying wicked, it's fun to say that. But the hills are wicked, so why not just use the existing line? Upon entering Allegheny County, the line will slow down to 100 kilometers per hour, which is 60 miles per hour about. It's actually 62.5 by the way. And it will follow the existing line, even slowing down a little on the curves. There's no upgrading other than electrifying the line here. It'll go right next to the Martin Luther King busway, passing through all of eastern Pittsburgh at a relatively slow pace before finally arriving at Pittsburgh Station. That's it. Now from Pittsburgh, I'll likely have two connections, one to the existing Great Lakes line up here and another going south to Kentucky, Tennessee, and even Texas eventually. This is one of only a couple lines serving the Appalachian Mountains, and it will be worth it. It will take a long time to build, but it will be worth it. As you can guess by the color and the fact that I said 300 kilometers per hour, this is an electric line. Unlike the other diesel lines, this will take a longer time to build, and the difference in speeds between 200 and 300 kilometers per hour would not justify making the line a lot less expensive. So what I did is just made the line full speed in some sections, some slower section as well. I want this line to use tilting trains similar to ones found on the German ice system, as those are really effective. Also the Pendolino trains in Great Britain, they can go through any curve at 200 kilometers per hour pretty much. Those trains are a beast. So I think those trains going through these mountains here will allow quick travel between Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, which by the way now will only be 1 hour and 30 minutes from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh. Actually 1 hour and 40 minutes to be exact if you include some stops. Like the New York to Boston line, there will be express stops and regional stops. I think you can guess what the express stops are, just Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh. The regional high speed will stop at all the other stations along the way. These other stations will serve many different regions of Pennsylvania with a higher population density and will tie the state east to west together. It will decongest many airways between the Northeast and the Midwest, which is barely a 1 hour flight, and also not require the need of massive widening projects such as on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. They're trying to add a third lane in each direction, trying to build new tunnels, all that. This will be more expensive than that, but that won't be needed because much of the traffic will be switched onto this high-speed line. Yes, I know that's along Webeo, but it's really just a connection from the Washington DC to Boston super high speed line that I did in season 1, plus a portion of the connecting the east to the Midwest in season 3 right now in Webeo Westward. The next Webeo we are going to continue and finally connect to Cleveland, thus forming the final link between Chicago and New York and the rest of the Northeast. Thank you for watching and goodbye.